Hello, I'm Alphonse Provinziano. I'm the managing partner and senior trial attorney at Provinziano Associates. We're a boutique family law firm in Beverly Hills consisting of 15 full-time attorneys focused on family law. What I wanted to talk about today was high conflict custody cases. And you may find yourself, unfortunately, in a high conflict custody case. So what is a high conflict custody case? And really, there's different ranges. At your very low level of a high conflict custody case, it's one in which the parties can't reach agreements on basic things. So for example, if the parties can't reach an agreement on where the child should go to school, you have one parent on one hand that wants the child to go to private school. You have the other parent on the other hand that wants the child to go to public school, and they can't reach an agreement. And the only person that can change that is the court. The court will ultimately have to make the decision. You have other situations that are much more ultra high conflict, where there's severe alienation, there's severe manipulation of the children going on to either not spend with or hate the other parent. And those are the most tragic and sad cases because the children themselves are being manipulated a lot of times against their own parent. And then there's even other cases where the children are estranged from a parent based off the parent's own conduct. In those situations, you have a rift where the child doesn't want to have contact with the parent for very good reasons. What the court's going to look at in a lot of these cases is what is the most reasonable position? Who is the reasonable parent? So if, in the example of a schooling case, if the child is someone who has a lot of special needs and is someone that needs to go to a dedicated specialist school to help them thrive as a child, the court's going to look at the other parent that doesn't want them to go to school and say, what's your objection? Why don't you want this child to go to the school that's helpful to them? And that's where the court starts to look, is who's the more reasonable parent? When you're looking at severe cases of alienation, the court is really trying to judge and understand, is this a real situation where the child is really afraid of a parent, or sadly, is this a situation where the child is being manipulated? Because the levers that the court has, the major one is the amount of time the child spends with either parent. There's other things the court can do. They can order therapy, they can order psychological evaluations, they can order time with psychologists, but that's the real main thing, is how much time the child spends with the other parent. So in the situation of a parent that's keeping a child away, sometimes what the court's left with doing is judging the reasonableness of that parent and the needs of the child. And a lot of times, not in every case, because every judge is different, they may say, we're going to change custody to be with the parent that we think is going to ensure there's more frequent contact with the other parent. What we really do here at Provinziano Associates to help our clients is we look at all the facts in the case. And so if you're a parent going through a high conflict custody case, always be polite, always be courteous, always be respectful to the other parent, no matter how bad that they can be, because all of these things are going to be looked at in court. And also, it's just better to be the more reasonable person, the more reasonable parent. We're going to look at emails, videos, text messages, audio recordings, letters, anything that can help give us context as to what the root cause of the problem is and who's being more reasonable or not reasonable. Because in the end, when you're going through a high custody conflict case, we really know what's at stake here. It's that precious time with the most important person in your life, which is your child. And what we try to do for our clients is present the facts to the court that represent to the court what would be in this child's best interest overall, and what parent is going to best help that child have a good future.